Normally I do a lot of editing in order to plate my stir-fried thoughts in an attractive way, but Need for Speed doesn't deserve my time. So what follows is just raw copy, a rough draft. I'm barely even gonna edit this fucking thing, because that is how much I hate Need for Speed. So, with that in mind, I'm opening the cage.
And now for the moment I'm sure you've all been looking forward to.
Every Saturday afternoon, gearhead worth their blackened mechanic nails knows the tale of the Edsel. It was the first and arguably largest bomb in automotive history, and exists as a direct result of almost religious adherence to market research.
Which are liked best by women. How are these makes associated with social status?
The Simpsons even took a shot at it in an early episode called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Ford tried so desperately to appeal to so many markets, they ended up making a hilarious abomination that couldn't even survive the golden age of late 50s Detroit. They tried too hard, neglected their core tenets, and the result was a massive public embarrassment. With that in mind, I'd like to bring you to the newly released Need for Speed, a game that I hate that I have to hate. A game that has some core of give a shit underneath all the terrible, like a friend that used to be kind of sweet and cool, and they had their brain eaten by their ego, and they just turned into an asshole. I say what follows as both a gearhead and a Need for Speed fan, two aspects of myself that hold hands, surely, but never fuck. I hate Need for Speed. I hate it for the same reason that Top Gear voted this the worst car of all time. I hate it because it's average. It's an average racing game in the face of a franchise that used to be the best around, but has let itself be distracted with ever more paltry trifles for fucking years. And beyond the average nature of every moment spent behind the wheel or customizing your car, there's so much more to complain about, so many affronts to what the modern gamer considers to be important, that the whole affair feels as out of date and detached as a goddamn 30-year-old hanging out at a bar with people 10 years their junior, while inserting words like hashtag or cray-cray into actual fucking conversation, which is exactly what this game is. Out of date, detached, unaware of how pathetic it's become, and worst of all, average.
There's a lot more Buick Riviera than it is French Riviera.
This game is an ode to the idea of clinging to your youth by trying to modernize your glory days and then failing miserably. Because you forgot that back in the day, you were allowed to be a moron, which, after a point, is no longer the case. There's an achievement called No Filter, tied to the inexplicably pointless snapshot side tests. There are more fist bumps in the first 4 unskippable cutscenes than I was forced to participate in during my 5-year tenure as a professional creator of drinks for douchebags.
I'm Spike!
This Spike fucker actually has Deal With It shades on his avatar, for Christ's sake. The whole goddamn mess feels like the result of market research stuffing its disparate concepts about what the kids like into a bag and dragging that bag behind a funny car for a half mile. Then they just smeared the resulting paste on every aspect of Need for Speed. It's open world but has absolutely no need to be, except perhaps to get you to invite your friends to participate in race for rep, here that is leveling bonuses, and this fucking speed wall horse shit EA can't drop that feels as unknowing of the real world around it as the rest of the game, but why not? Cause kids love sharing and hashtagging. As a result, you can't pause the damn thing, or you're kicked out of an involved single player race or tuning session because your connection to the server was lost. I'm guessing this is all in service of the DRM god, the sort of tight-laced counterproductive DRM that only could have been dreamed up in a boardroom and ultimately encourages piracy instead of discouraging it, which, in addition to whatever detached concept of hip this game can't stop dry humping in its presentation, ties nicely to its equally ill-conceived gameplay construction, which we're gonna get to, but this is a rant, goddammit, and I won't be slowed down. I'd say that I have a need for speed, but those words now burn my tongue like acid. And, that concept of hip. I can only imagine the target audience for this game was a caricature of a 13-year-old bespeckled boner mutant incapable of thought more rational than being pulled around by his dick like it was a fucking divining rod. All the women call you stud, all the men call you big man, and while the underground world it attempts to develop is supposed to be high stakes, it's also so PG that the word damn feels like it should be followed with a gasp. The denizens of this city that you're forced to interact with via unskippable cutscene and incessant phone calls feel less like fucking hardened criminals.
You went on probation.
And more like the tuner equivalent of the fucking Scooby-Doo gang with a goddamn Instagram filter turned on. I'm just waiting for the fucking monkeys to show up and really tie this whole thing together. Shut the fuck up. Oh, and they're that bad. This guy says fee fi fo fum. You think I'm full of shit? No, this man right here literally says fee fi fo fum.
Fee fi fo fum.
Fucking really? I'd like to, and I'd really like to, say that none of this matters once you're out on the open road in Need for Speeding, but it infects everything you do. The stakes of every rubber banding Mario Kart race are attached to these fuckers, and they won't let you forget it. I get phone calls from these assholes even during fucking races, like I gave my number to fucking Roman Bellic. Only the end of this rainbow doesn't have bowling and titty bars, it just has another black street in a city completely devoid of life. I know it's a fictitious dream world for street racers. I know the conceit is that it's perpetually night, and all those not cray-cray enough to understand that
The streets were slick and the 90s young.
they're locked up in their garage with their 95 Camry, but it feels less like the city is asleep and more like it was evacuated and quarantined because a deadly zombie-like douche virus has gone airborne and threatens the rest of the world. Only, when you get infected by this, you don't start eating brains, you just have an uncontrollable urge to drive quickly but responsibly,
Pull over, pay up, peace out.
fist bump and slam Monster brand energy drinks. Because the night is young, you have sponsors to appease, and even though you're hard enough to have done fucking time, alcohol is for losers! The rest of the game is as douchey and useless as its characters. I don't want to hashtag, I don't want to get cray, I don't want to fucking drag my friends into this absurd farce you've built. I want to race cars. And in the moments when I've tuned my car just the right way, the soundtrack isn't making me want to drive an ice pick through my ear, and I'm tooling down a wet mountain pass, it's Need for Speed again. Then my virtual cell phone rings, my real cell phone rings, and I can't pause the game to answer it, my car slams radiator first into an abutment, and then I boomerang my fucking controller through the goddamn drywall! Again! Those moments can be equally ruined by a guidance system that feels as out of date as everything else in the damn game. Why the fuck are these giant, bright, holy shit, why is it going this way? Arrows the best solution for telling me where I'm supposed to go. What about just showing me where to turn, like a million other games have managed with aplomb, or better yet, mark it on the map and let me deal with it. Or, you could just not give me the option to turn these distracting bastards off, thus eliminating any hope I had of becoming properly immersed in the rare moments this game isn't actively trying to ruin my good time. Parts of this game that get it right are mired in a world that sucks so completely that the life is unceremoniously removed from them. The persistent online elements suck, the tuning that couldn't decide if it wanted to be overly complex or needlessly simple sucks, the cutscenes suck, the actors suck, the dialogue sucks, let's just get down to brass tacks, the fact that there's a story period sucks, and anyone that says they can view this game ironically and enjoy its fleeting moments of bliss is a liar, they fucking suck too! Don't buy it, don't rent it, don't wait for it to be cheap. Burn the memory of it, burn the concept of it, and if you have it in you, rob a fucking distribution center and burn every copy you can find in an effigy shaped like a mid-90s Corolla, because nothing about this game is anything but an insult to gearheads, gamers, and Need for Speed fans in equal measure, and needs to be cleansed from this earth like a PC copy of Arkham Knight. Like the Edsel, this game had no idea what its market was, and doubled down on that concept for some dipshit reason. I don't want a game that's gone fucking full Steve Buscemi. Meme reference, aren't I hip? Look how hip I am! In some cloying attempt to appeal to the sensibilities of its perceived target demographic, I want a game that's done what it wanted to do, and is fucking awesome in its own right. I want a game that's an adult, not a fucking grown-up trying to convince kids that they're hip. A game that doesn't pander to an audience that no longer exists in such a pathetic, meager attempt to modernize its glory days. And that game is not Need for Speed. Need for Speed is fucking garbage. It said make love to the camera, not date rape it.